Oh, Amanda was going to ask about Gracie's hooves. It's an interesting... So, when I first got Gracie, just for anybody who isn't up to date on, I'll just quickly run over it fast. So Gracie's feet, she had, when I first got her, she had just mountains of ingrown hoof. Is probably the best way to put it. Back and front feet. When I say ingrown hoof, I'm thinking about the underside mostly, and that has to do with what are called the bars, and they're the underside of the foot. These pieces of hoof wall that are in the middle on each side of the frog. And so just mountains of it. That is just, they can be very, very destructive when not dealt with accordingly, properly, in a timely manner. And it can do serious damage to the underside of the underside of the inside of the hoof. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Ingrown bars and overlaid bars are all... Her front feet are completely mismatched. It's called a high-low syndrome. I don't know who defined that word, but it's appropriate. So one foot has very high heels and the other foot has more normal or lower heels. Or one foot can have normal heels and the other can be really, really low and underslung. And most of this just really has to do with trimming, how to trim. The fronts are a little closer to being balanced, although I don't think they'll ever balance. I think that is just how her inner structure of her foot has grown, and it would be incredibly difficult to put it back to what we would consider normal or have both feet even. So that's the front left. The front right is coming along nicely. I'm quite happy with how it's turned back to being much more normal. So her back feet are actually more the primary for the last couple of years. And I've done a bunch of videos on how I booted her, put boots on to see if I could protect the underside, but that was never the solution. I mean, it sort of helped a little bit because it allowed me to sort of chop out a little bit more stuff and make it. If I didn't boot her, I would have done more damage. So it's very common actually to use protection like that, boots, never shoes, and they protect the whole bottom of the foot. So each stage has done a little bit here and a little bit there, and with constant chats with my veterinarian on how and what's going on. In the last year or so, though, has made the most progress of trying to deal with what has been just long-term ingrown bar that has clearly done damage to the internal, probably vascular structure, and I would bet the bone structure as well. Over time, I think that is healed up in some way, because we're not seeing the same amount of damage that was in there from the beginning and middle way through. It's been a fascinating journey, to be honest. It's something that he's never encountered, I've never encountered. Sort of just been assessing as we go. And so that's why I think that it's made some progress, as it's showing to be better overall.